And increasingly companies are asking, how can I service that market? Because that market is growing. I'm not going to wait till they become middle class by my standards. I'm going to target the market when it's middle class by their standards. Let me give an example. How do you sell a refrigerator in India? In the villages. Now, that seems like a silly question. Well, sell the same old refrigerator that you have in the villages. Well, the problem in the villages is electricity comes for only 9 hours a day for the villages that have electricity. And it doesn't come the same 9 hours. It is randomized because they cut off electricity whenever the lines go down, whenever they have too little power. So how do you run a refrigerator when you don't know when the electricity is going to come? That's the problem that Godrej engineers had to figure out. Godrej is a refrigerator company. So they went to the villages and queried these people, what do you use the fridge for? And what they learned was what the villager wants the fridge for is cooking the food in the morning, keeping it cool over the day, and being able to eat that same food in the evening, making sure it doesn't spoil. In other words, they wanted to cook once a day, like many of us. We don't want to cook 3 meals a day. In India, of course, during the day, the sun is very hot. You want the refrigerator to keep the food from spoiling during that time. They also discovered these people didn't need ice. They didn't want ice. They wanted food cool. They didn't care if it didn't make ice. Well, that was the answer. Because once you know the refrigerator doesn't need to make ice, you know you don't need to cool it below 0. If you cool it to 6 or 7 degrees centigrade, that's fine. That keeps the food from spoiling. Once you need to cool it only to 6 or 7 degrees centigrade, you don't need a compressor. You can do with a fan. And they've built fan-cooled refrigerators which can work off a battery, which don't need to work off the mains. So when the electricity comes, the battery recharges. When the electricity goes off, the battery works and powers the refrigerator, so you got 24/7 power from the refrigerator. But that refrigerator is now cheaper than the refrigerator which works off a compressor because it is working according to the technology, according to the needs of the villager. And so the market has expanded manyfold. That's the kind of frugal technology that I think increasingly is emerging. And it is not just companies there. It is multinational companies like GE which are thinking about how they're going to service that market. Now, I think that's very, very important, very useful, but it also implies an enormous change for industrial country companies.